everyone, and welcome back to everyone's favourite West Brom podcast, Talk Albion. It's a nice self-proclaimed title. I'm here with my dad again, Matt Ward. Thanks for joining me, Dad.
Thanks for inviting me again, Josh, and hello everyone. Thank you all for listening.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've last done one of this. The last time we did it was around the end of the January transfer window, so there's been lots of change within the club. Lots of games that have happened. I think it's been about maybe 6 or 7 games since the last time we spoke. So yeah, things are looking a lot different down at West Brom, but we're still going slowly and surely. Things are looking a bit more on the up, but we'll talk about that in a bit more later on. So I guess the first thing we'll talk about is all the games that we have played since we last spoke. Starting off with the 2-2 draw at Fulham. That was a good result for us, wasn't it, Dad?
Yes, it was a good result, and especially coming off the back of a 5-0 hammering from Man City.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone expected us to get any points off Man City anyway. I know we managed to get a point off them at the Etihad, but this was a totally different Man City team that I think have now gone on to record 21 wins back to back. So that's an incredible run of form by Man City. So we went into Fulham all looking for a much more improved performance. And I think the 2-2 draw was a fair result.
Yeah.
At the end, we had Bartley scoring and Piera to put us 2-1 in the lead. That was after Fulham going in the lead after 10 minutes. And then Fulham managed to equalise. We couldn't hold on for the 3 points. It was a much need. As long as we didn't lose, we did come away with a point and a much more improved performance all round, really.
Yeah, and the addition of Bartley really seems to have changed the way we've set up recently. He's been very good for us in recent weeks.
Yes, definitely. And of course, we're now beginning to see the introduction of the players that Allardyce brought in over the transfer window, and we can talk about their performances after we do this roundup of results since we last spoke. We got a point from Fulham. 3 points would have been much better for us, but the draw, I think, was a fair result. So we then went to go on to play Sheffield United away. Again, this was a match which all of us was pinpointing 3 points on.
Yeah,
didn't
quite go our way that game. After going 1-0 up, I thought we'd be able to win, but unfortunately, they were bet on the West Brom because we did lose in the end. It would have been nice if Callum Robinson would have scored against his former club, but
that's right. Yeah,
unfortunately, it wasn't the case. I think it was his birthday as well on the day of the game, so that would have been doubly nice. But
and it's something we so often see in football. The first half was very much Albion dominated, and it gave us all a lot of hope that we could extend on Phillips's goal.
Mm-hmm.
But then the second half belonged to Sheffield United, and they equalised, and I think it was Sharp that scored.
I think Sharp and McBurney, if I recall correctly.
So a very, very disappointing result that was. We was all hoping that we could have pulled some points away from Sheffield United, but I think Sheffield United didn't they beat Aston Villa as well? They've managed to get a couple of results together.
They'd beaten Manchester United in the weeks before the game, and I think they've beat Aston Villa fairly recently, so they seem to have turned their season around a bit more, and they can thankfully rest assured on not being the worst Premier League team ever, because Derby still hold that title with their 11 points. But yeah, it was a disappointing day as a West Brom fan, but hey ho, what can you do? We were lucky to beat them at the Hawthorns at the start of the season.
We was.
So maybe it was justice served. You never know.
So moving on, we lost to Tottenham 2-0 again. First half, very, very spirited performance by West Brom, keeping the scoreline to 0-0. Then a couple of moments of magic by Harry Kane,
Yeah,
scoring one and then setting the other goal up for Son. And I think everyone could see the gulf of quality in class
yeah,
between the two teams. So we did
yeah,
our best, but we just couldn't contain the quality of Harry Kane. I think the pass that he made for Son to score his goal,
yeah,
he's England's striker. He's a quality player, and
yeah,
he was the difference. That was Kane's, if I can remember rightly, that was Kane's game coming back from injury as well, and we wasn't sure whether Kane would be playing that match. And
yeah. It's a shame he
his
did.
name, his name appeared on the team sheet, and it turns out he was the difference between the two teams on the day.
Yeah.
So again, another loss for the Albion.
But following that, on Valentine's Day, we did have a bit more love in terms of scoreline. It was a 1-1 draw against Manchester United when we went up in the first 2 minutes, something like that, which was just completely unexpected. But
That's right.
Bruno Fernandes does what he does, or has been doing what he's done all season, and equalised. This time it wasn't a penalty; it was a very good volley on the turn or on the swivel. So we were unlucky to lose that game, because it wasn't a game that I watched because I was getting ready for work at the time and I couldn't watch it. But I had all my friends who were watching it text me saying, "Oh, you really should have won that." But
That's right. It's seen Diagne's debut goal.
it's not, well, his first goal, not his not a goal on his
Was it not
debut.
his first? Was it his
It was his
full
first goal.
debut?
It was
At
his
the
first goal,
Hawthorns?
but
Yeah.
yeah, it was his first goal for the club. But it wasn't a debut goal, because
Okay.
he'd played for us before
Yeah.
at the
So
Hawthorns.
his first goal for the club, and we had other chances in the match as well.
Yeah,
Harry Maguire was very upset that he didn't get a penalty against
yeah.
us. It seems to be the story with Manchester United at this moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
No way was it a penalty.
No.
You could see that if there was any contact, it was minimal. I thought Maguire should have been booked for diving and protesting, to be honest, because it was absolutely
Maybe.
pathetic.
I think, yeah, he was very unlucky right at the end, though, when he had a header go nearly straight into the top corner, but Sam Johnson pulled out one of the saves of the season yet again to put it onto the post. So
Yes, that was a fantastic save onto the post, fingertip save, absolutely brilliant, and it only strengthens his call to be included in the England squad, as far as I'm concerned. I think Sam Johnson's having a brilliant season.
yeah,
Personally,
definitely.
yeah. So
Very, very unlucky draw there, but then again a very, very unlucky draw against Burnley later in the next game, where we went to Turf Moor and got a 0-0 draw, a classic West Brom versus Burnley scoreline. I think that's a sort of a cursed fixture. That's always bound to be a 0-0 draw. But
yes, Burnley seems to be a bit of a difficult place to go to and get points from, and but how on earth we didn't score, I just do not know. We had several chances, and the ball just would not run to us. Diagne had a couple of golden chances to score for us. I think Vieira had a couple as well, and we just could not get the ball in the back of the net.
yeah,
So, I look at that result and can't help think to myself that it was 2 points dropped rather than a point gained by us. Extremely unfortunate, but you could see the defence is beginning to gel a bit more now, and it's a little bit late in the season for me to be saying this, but with only 11 matches left of the season, and I think it was only our second clean sheet of the season.
yeah, not ideal, but I think with the introduction of the new defensive midfielders and Maitland-Niles, who signed for us on deadline day, and Yokosulu, who signed for us as well, they've been absolutely rock at the back. And in the Burnley game, we forget we did go down to 10 men with Semi Ajayi going off in the first half, so it could have been a very different game. Unfortunately, it didn't go the way we wanted, but fortunately, Burnley did stay on the back foot and didn't really attack our defence much.
That's right. But even down to 10 men, we was attacking and we kept a clean sheet, and it was a very good performance all round, really. Apart from we just could not score to save our lives. Which then we come on to the next game against Brighton last week, where we come away. Opposite story. We come away with a 1-0 win this time. Thank goodness we got 3 points. Long awaited. But
our second win over with Sam as manager, and our third overall this season.
Yeah, but how on earth we managed to come away with a win from this one? Totally opposite from the Burnley game. A very, very fortunate 3 points. We had luck on our side on this occasion.
Yeah. 2 missed penalties and a VAR incident was on our side, but who knows what could have happened. I'm just surprised we kept a clean sheet, let alone a win.
Well, the VAR offside goal was a complete and utter farce to begin with. So they should, in my opinion, Brighton every right to feel very hard done by that decision by the referee and VAR. I think if it was the opposite way around and that was against us, I would be absolutely fuming personally. So we got away with that one. And then what on earth they were doing with the 2 penalties, I do not know.
I think with the free kick incident before we got into penalties, I just think that Brighton players should have had a bit more class about them, because they were trying to take the free kick when, from what I could see and from what I remember they were trying to take the free kick when Sam Johnson was still setting up his wall.
That's right.
So they should have had I know that they're in the midst of the bottom, but there's just they should have had a bit more respect in my eyes, because it's not. I think they got away with it before against Liverpool, but it was more of a case of it was just a surprise shot from Lewis Dunk. But I think they tried to do the same thing, but with the goalkeeper all the way on the other side, moving his wall. It's just you shouldn't really be even considering about taking the free kick then. But
I can understand what the ref's done, because from all accounts, is it Doncaster referee, if he could take it quickly?
Yeah.
And the ref said yes, blew his whistle without realising that Sam Johnson wasn't ready, and then blew the whistle again when he realised he'd made a mistake to stop play, and he blew the whistle before the ball had crossed the line.
Yeah.
And then he changed his mind and then awarded the goal, and then VAR got involved and said, no, you can't, because you blew the whistle to stop play. It was just a complete mess, really.
Yeah, the officiating in the Premier League recently has not been as the standard as it used to be with refs. Not that it was ever amazing in the first place, but we just, in recent weeks, it's just been appalling. I think Mike Dean has been getting a lot of abuse for some of the wrong decisions he's made, and overall the officiating in the Premier League has just not been very good. And I think VAR hasn't helped that, because it's highlighting just how bad it is as well. So.
That's right. So after the Burnley game and Brighton game, the Burnley game we should have won comfortably, but we come away with 1 point, not 3. The Brighton game we should have lost at least 3-1, but we come away with a 1-0 win.
Yeah.
So out of those 2 games, we come away with 4 points.
If you told me before the Burnley game that we'd have had 4 points, I'd have taken it.
Definitely. So points was very fortunate against Brighton, as we know, very unfortunate against Burnley, but it seems to have evened itself out, and we've got 4 very, very important points for us if we're going to reach our objective to stay in the Premier League. And the next match, Josh, against Everton, 1-0 loss. Any thoughts about that game?
I think it was a game I didn't watch it because I can't remember what I was doing, but I think at the time a lot of the games I hadn't watched we'd done very well in, so I thought I'd decide to stay away from all of West Brom games until we lost, and fortunately this was the game. But from what I could see on the stats, it seems to be one of our best games in the league yet, because we were most even. I think this was the first time in a while where we hadn't had 30% possession or under, and we had lots of chances as well, or lots of shots and shots on target, probably equaling Everton's chances. So I think this is a game we could have quite easily nicked a win from, at least a draw. And we did have the ball in the back of the net at one stage, but it was given offside for
Yes.
Diagne. But Richarlison did put Everton 1-0 up, and they carried on and managed to keep their clean sheet.
Yeah, VAR came to curse us once more. It was a really good move, passage of play by the Albion, which would have been our equalising goal, and it just looked like the VAR gave it offside for the slimmest toenail on Diagne. To me, it's absolutely pathetic. What's happened to the body being in line with the defenders. I can't see what advantage having one toenail distance between is going to be any advantage to an attacker, or any less advantage for the defender. You can see, and it's not just the Albion, it's all teams have been affected by this absolutely ridiculous fine line margin of, in my opinion, they should really reconsider what they class as being offside, because historically it's always been, if the players' bodies are in line with each other, regardless if one person's got a size 12 foot and the other one's got a size 10 foot boot.
One thing I will say about the goal is the fact that the linesman did flag it gives me more, like, because without VAR that would have been given as offside anyway. But with VAR, it makes it more frustrating, because it was about that much. You just sort of know he's either guessing or misread the timings and stuff. So
but I guess the linesman, they don't have to worry too much about it now, because if they get the decision wrong, it goes to VAR and it'll be overturned anyway. So I think they're flagging for things which they know that if they get the decision wrong, then it will be overturned anyway. I think they need to use a lot more common sense when they're using this offside rule. Maybe favour the attacking. Of course, it could come and bite us on the backside with other teams, but I thought the whole purpose of football is to score goals and entertain fans. And
I mean, Scott Parker had a press conference the other day, and he voicing his thoughts on VAR. And if you haven't seen it, I do at home. If you haven't seen it, I do encourage you to go and listen to it, because I think he's speaking a lot of a lot of the thoughts that we're all having about VAR. And I don't think there's one person at the minute who says that VAR is a good thing. I think this season has definitely highlighted it. I know that last season wasn't very good, and it's part of the joys of us being in the Championship, is we don't have to deal with VAR. It's just good old fashioned linesmen and fourth officials and officials. So,
well, whether we like it or not, it's here to stay. And for me, it is spoiling what we've grown up to know as football, and what we got used to. But I do think there's a lot of room of improvement there, because all teams seem to be suffering because of these ridiculous hairline decisions. It's absolute nonsense. Anyway, that's my thoughts on VAR and there. So from a possible 21 points out of 7 games, Josh, we managed to come away with 6 points from our last 7 games, and that leaves us in the table still in 19th. We're 6 points behind Fulham. And we are 9 points behind Newcastle, with both of those, and Brighton. Both of those teams have a far, far greater goal difference on us. So in reality, we need to get 10 points from somewhere to overtake Newcastle and Brighton.
Or score a lot of goals.
So the difference is Newcastle's on -17. We're on -36. But most importantly, we need to get 10 points over the next few coming weeks, few matches, in order to give us any kind of survival hopes. Now, I do believe we've got 11 matches left for the remainder of the season. So we have got games available to get those points from. It's not mathematically
impossible
done yet. So what do you think? Is it doable?
I think with Lady Luck and God on our side, it could very well be possible. We've got some good couple of fixtures coming up next, which are very winnable. We do have quite a tough run in. I know that we've got Liverpool on one of the last games of the season. I think Leeds is our last game of the season.
That's right.
We might be able to, if we get in a position, it will be very close. And I think if we're going to stay up, it will be on the final day of the season. So we just have to see. But we've got an international break to get through yet. So some players who play for the likes of Brighton and Newcastle could go away, get injured, and then that changes the whole season, or the whole rest of the season, I should say. So we just have to take it day by day. I think realistically, we need to win at least 7 games to be in the chance for staying up, because then Newcastle and Brighton will keep on winning, and we need to make up the 10 points. So that's at least 3 wins and a draw to catch up, but we need to keep the momentum going.
So. That's right. And of course, our next fixture is indeed Newcastle. This is vital. We can if we can get a win, this will be a massive 3 points towards our survival bid. So gosh, 12 o'clock Sunday afternoon at the Hawthorns. We know
on Amazon Prime.
Is it on Amazon Prime? Is it?
Yep.
Yeah,
it is indeed.
I wasn't sure. So in my opinion, it's a must win. We've got to get 3 points.
Yeah.
By any means possible.
I would agree.
And then following that, we've got Crystal Palace away. Obviously,
we've had some luck there in the past, but they did beat us quite significantly. I think it was 5-1 at the start of the season.
Yeah, we had a player sent off in that match as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
But I think it was about the middle of the first half.
Yeah, it was quite a controversial one as well, if I remember correctly, being Mateus Pereira falling over and then the player going on to his boot. So
this will be a completely, entirely different game, especially with our January signings beginning to settle in quite well now with Newcastle and Maitland-Niles.
Yep.
We've got Snodgrass coming back from injury as well. And I've been extremely impressed with Maitland-Niles and Newcastle in the middle. Really settled our midfield down, and you can see the difference with us not conceding as many goals now. So
I think Yokosulu has been an absolute gem of a find. He's absolutely transformed our midfield. He's probably better than Livermore and Sawyers combined on his own. So I think with him and Maitland-Niles slotting in at midfield with Gallagher, it's just been quite a formidable force recently. Since they've come in, it's been absolutely changed. I think Yokosulu reminds everyone a lot of I think it's Jakob.
Yeah, Claudio Jakob. He does indeed remind us of the great Claudio Jakob we had playing for us. And I was saying from the very start of our podcast, Josh, how much we needed that bit of steel in midfield, a ball winner, someone who could pick out that pass and win the ball in midfield. We was desperately missing that type of player. And thankfully Sam Allardyce found him in Newcastle, and he's been absolutely magnificent. And I'd like to say the same about Maitland-Niles as well. He's playing with passion, he's playing with pace.
He's playing like a player who really wants to get back into that Arsenal side. So I think when he gets back, he does have a shout of going back there. But I think if we stay up, get them both. But I think if I was to prioritise keeping one player, if we stay up, it has to be Yokosulu, because I think I know that they're both on loan at the minute, but I don't know if there's any options to buy or anything like that. But I think if it's a priority of one over the other, I'm definitely keeping Yokosulu.
Yeah, I think Maitland-Niles has staken his claim for the Arsenal first team. I wouldn't be surprised if he returns back to Arsenal and after his loan spell with us. But I'll definitely echo your sentiments in keeping Newcastle in our squad.
Yeah.
If we stay up, that'd be a fantastic signing for us. But then again, it all depends on the owners and whether they're still the owners of our club and if
Yeah.
they're going to invest the money in buying him.
Yeah.
It's one thing to have a player on loan and all you're doing is paying his wages, but it seems when it comes up to stumping the cash to buying these players, and the sooner our current owners do one, the better, and getting some owners that have actually got some ambition. But you all know my thoughts on that, and that's why I think it's vitally important we can stay up, and it will mean that West Brom retain their valuation that the owners want. The last thing we need is the owners not selling because the buyers don't meet the valuation of our club, So 11 games left for ourselves and Newcastle and Fulham. Our next two games, as we've discussed, is Newcastle at home and then Crystal Palace away. For Fulham, their next two games before the international break are Liverpool and Man City. So
very difficult for them.
I really hope that we can pull back the 6 points with 2 wins for ourselves, and I can't really see Fulham beating Liverpool or Man City.
I think they could possibly pull off a shock win against Liverpool because Liverpool are a bit down in the dumps at the minute. They've lost 5 games at home in a row for the first time in their history, I think. So, so you never know what could happen there. It's unlikely that they will, but they definitely. I don't think they can get a result out of Man City because they are absolutely flying at the minute. So
that's right. And then Newcastle, of course, have got ourselves on Sunday afternoon, and then Aston Villa following that. So Aston Villa could do us a favour. In that match, and we could find ourselves within 4 points of overtaking Newcastle and Fulham over the next couple of games if the results go our way.
Yep. And of course, Brighton have got who are on the same level as Newcastle, so equally as key. They've got Leicester in their next game, which is tonight at the day of recording. So they, by the time this comes out, they have already have played, and then later on in the weeks they've got Southampton away, and they have also got Newcastle on the 20th of March. So
okay, so two more very difficult games for Brighton because Leicester are in great form. Very, very sad to hear that Harvey Barnes has been injured recently and is looking to being out for about 6 weeks. Very, very fond of Harvey Barnes. He was absolutely fantastic for us. It was such a shame that he returned back to Leicester during his loan spell with us. You can see he's got great potential, and it's very, very sad to hear of his knee injury that's going to rule him out for over 6 weeks. So all the best, Harvey Barnes, in your recovery from Albion. And again, Southampton can pull off some good performances as well. So
I think Southampton have found their form. They've hopefully finding their form again. They beat Sheffield United earlier on this afternoon, 2-0, which has put them back on the winning streak, which they had at the start of the season. But we'll never know. Hopefully they can beat Brighton for us and keep those two teams, and then hopefully Brighton Newcastle draw, and then that'll keep them both down there.
That's right. So we heading into the international break, we could find ourselves within 4 points of safety, which is just a win and a draw. That'd be a nice position to be in. But like I've always said, you never bet on the Albion because what you expect them to do, they never do.
Yeah.
And When you expect them to lose, they win, and when you expect them to win, they lose.
So let's all bet on losses at the weekend, and hopefully we'll come away with the 6 points.
And that's the joys of being an Albion fan, because you just never know what you're going to get. And with 11 games remaining, 33 points up for grabs, we desperately need 10 of those points over the coming weeks. And let's hope that we get a little bit more fortune like we had in the Brighton match. And we could see ourselves edging a bit. Could Sam Allardyce actually do it? Don't forget, we've got Aston Villa and Wolves games coming up in April as well. So something to look forward to, back-to-back local derbies. It would be nice to get revenge against Aston Villa, and of course the big Black Country derby against Wolves. Bragging rights on, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure Wolves desperately want that back after their 3-2 loss and then their 5-1 loss earlier at the start of the decade. So, who knows what can happen.
All right, what's your score prediction against Newcastle tomorrow then, Josh? What do you think?
Well, I know what I want it to be, but like we say, never bet on the Albion. So I'm going to go for a 4-0 loss. Well, I think there's plenty of goals. They beat us 2-1. They luckily beat us 2-1 because we played really well in that game. But then we did with Dwight Gale pulling off a sensational header. He just killed the game off. So you never know what it could be. But I think Diagne is going to get a couple. I've said that before with Grant, but I think Diagne's got a really good striker's instinct, so we could see some goals.
Yeah. Well, I'm going for reverse. Scoreline. We lost, as you mentioned, we lost 2-1 at Newcastle. I think Albion have got enough now. We like I say, with Costello and Maitland-Niles, our defence is looking much stronger. And I'm really hoping that we can reverse the scoreline from the previous match and come away with an Albion 2-1 win.
Yeah. Well, there's been some bust-ups down at Newcastle, so hopefully the players have a little revolt and let us score 5.
Well, that would be a real nice Sunday afternoon if that is the case, Josh. Indeed.
Yeah, indeed. So. Well, have you got any more you want to talk about with West Brom?
No, I think we've covered everything for today's podcast. It will just be a very nerve-wracking couple of matches ahead of us now.
Yeah.
And then I think if we can get a couple of wins under our belt, we can sit back and have a rest during the international break before it all starts again against Chelsea on April the 3rd.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Let's hope for 6 points the next time we speak.
Sounds good to me. That would be lovely. A nice early birthday treat for me.
Yes, indeed.
Cool.
Indeed.
All right. Well, thank you very much for listening to this podcast episode. If you're listening at home, check us out on Facebook at www.facebook.com/talkalbion. Got a nice little community on there. We haven't been posting as regularly, but we should be nice and active again recently with the podcast coming back. So thank you very much for joining us. Up the baggies.